Welcome. An assassination attempt on Donald Trump at a rally in July was an extraordinary moment in the American election campaign. Now, a second apparent attempt on his life just 9 weeks later is truly unprecedented. The FBI says a man is in custody this Monday after an AK-7 style assault rifle was recovered at Trump's golf course in Florida. Trump himself was not injured, and media reports have now named the suspect as 58-year-old Ryan Ruth. With the details, here's Matthew Mary Karushat.
Just hours after a suspected second assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump, law enforcement officials arrested a suspect. U.S. media report that Ryan Ruth was captured after Secret Service agents opened fire on a gunman carrying an AK-47 style rifle near the boundary of Trump's Florida golf course. Police have been searching the properties of Ruth, a former resident of North Carolina who has been living as a self-employed affordable housing builder in Hawaii since 2018. A staunch political activist, Ruth has voiced opinions both supportive of and critical of Trump. One cause dear to his heart, however, has been the war in Ukraine, as he recently spent months in the country supporting the resistance against the Russian invasion. Here he is talking about Russian President Vladimir Putin in 2022.
Putin is a terrorist, and he needs to be ended, so we need everybody from around the globe to stop what they're doing and come here now and support the Ukrainians to end this war.
Ruth is suspected of being the person who hid in shrubbery with a rifle, scope, and camera near the area where Trump was golfing. Secret Service agents were clearing holes ahead of Trump when they spotted a rifle barrel. The agents opened fire, but the person fled in a black car before being apprehended on the highway. The FBI has said the incident appears to be an assassination attempt. Nonetheless, Trump posted statements in seemingly good spirits that evening, praising law enforcement for their work and saying he would never surrender to people trying to stop him and his supporters.
Well, reaction, of course, has been pouring in to the apparent assassination attempt, including from President Joe Biden and Trump's rival for the White House, Kamala Harris.
Sunday's apparent assassination attempt against Donald Trump has prompted a wave of condemnation. Among those to denounce the incident was his rival, Kamala Harris.
I have been briefed on reports of gunshots fired near former President Trump and his property in Florida, and I'm glad he is safe. Violence has no place in America.
A sentiment echoed by her running mate, Tim Walz, who said, quote, "Violence has no place in our country. It is not who we are as a country." In a statement on social media, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, said he was glad the Republican presidential candidate was safe, adding that he was in, quote, good spirits. Sunday's incident appears, according to the FBI, to be the second assassination attempt against the former US president this year. At a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, back in July, Trump was grazed in the ear in a shooting that killed a member of the crowd and critically injured two. In the wake of Sunday's apparent assassination attempt, the former president's son, Eric Trump, expressed his fears of another attack, saying, quote, "My father is running out of lives here. How many more rifles are going to come within assassination distance of my father?" US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, meanwhile, praised the Secret Service for their, quote, quick response to ensure former President Trump's safety. It comes after the US Secret Service director resigned following the Butler shooting, amid scrutiny of security lapses surrounding the attack.
So we got to do more.
Well, I'm pleased to welcome to the programme now Christopher Featherstone. He's a lecturer in international relations at the University of York. Hello to you, sir. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Look, the United States is 50 days out from the election. What kind of impact do you think this is going to have on Trump's campaign and on Trump himself in these final weeks?
Well, I think we've seen recently that this has actually had a rather bullish effect on Donald Trump. It is actually energizing. We can see from his messaging, he has responded quite well. He has responded positively. So it's not necessarily had a massive impact on him individually, but we can also see that this is potentially going to have an impact on his supporters and how willing they are to come out and go to his rallies. Donald Trump gets a lot of energy in his campaigns from his political rallies. And if they are becoming more dangerous or more difficult to persuade yourself to attend, then we can maybe see that having a downturn. So we can see it potentially having a positive impact on his vote turnout, but it could also have an impact on the rallies and the attendance at these rallies.
Well, you talk about this being, something potentially energizing for Donald Trump. We remember after that first assassination attempt in July, Donald Trump raised his fist into the air after he was shot. And there were plenty of people at the time who thought his sort of instinctive response was a vote winner. But look, actually, that assassination attempt got rather lost in the fast-paced American election cycle. And so I wonder now whether you think what happened yesterday will benefit Trump, given how close the polls clearly are.
Well, I think, yes, this is a campaign that it has been repeatedly said it is on a knife edge. This campaign is incredibly close. So any bump in the polls for Donald Trump will be a positive impact for him. Kamala Harris had arguably a better performance in the debate, and actually Donald Trump was potentially losing some of the momentum in his campaign. So it's potential that that bump might address that potential loss of momentum. I think we should also note just how remarkable this is, though, how dangerous this looks in the American political sphere. We have 2 attempted assassinations of a candidate, of a former president, within a matter of months in one campaign. This is unprecedented in the modern era. So, we shouldn't also get away from just the impact of this assassination attempt.
Well, indeed, it is unprecedented. I wonder what you think it tells us about American political discourse today, about the country's relationship with political violence.
Well, I think disturbingly, this is becoming more frequent, right? The idea of political violence in the political sphere in America is becoming more normalized. It is becoming something that we are more used to seeing. When we see attempted assassinations, we can also think back to the political violence of January 6th, right? So this is not necessarily something that is wholly unprecedented, but it is increasing. And we can maybe see this as a symptom of an increase in political violence, and a symptom of an increase in the violence of some of the rhetoric around election campaigning in America. Donald Trump's response has been, very aggressive again, as it was with his last his response to his last assassination attempt. So we can see that potentially this is not something that is going to be going away. But this increase in political violence is symptomatic of a deeper polarization and extremism within the American political sphere.
We talked a bit about Trump himself and about the Trump campaign. Your thoughts on Kamala Harris at this moment in the election cycle? She said on X that violence has no place in America in the wake of this apparent assassination attempt. Do you think she will have to say more in the days ahead?
I would be very, very surprised if she doesn't need to address this further. In the last case, there were significant questions around the security provision to Donald Trump during his campaigning, during his time on the road. So it would be incredibly unlikely if this does not become another talking point in the campaign. Last time, the head of the Secret Service had to resign, and this caused seismic impacts on American politics. So I would be shocked if we don't see further comment on the assassination attempt. I would say that this maybe needs to be addressed in a response to the rhetoric surrounding it. Kamala Harris has understandably not gone out there too far. She doesn't want to get too involved yet until we have more of the facts available. That's completely understandable. But I think it will come in the next few hours and arguably days as well. More of a discussion point around the violence of the rhetoric, the conversations that Americans are having around the politics going on at the moment. What is the response to the political rhetoric and the potential of violence in American politics?
Just a final question. You point out there that in July, the head of the Secret Service had to resign in the wake of that assassination attempt on Trump. Do you think heads will roll again now?
I think it's potentially heads will roll, but I think that actually maybe this needs to go further than this question around who's in charge, who's taking these decisions. And actually maybe looking towards what is the symptoms that are impacting this political violence, but also potentially looking more broadly. I would be surprised if we don't see the Secret Service looking at trying to portray this as a success, right? That they have prevented an attempt on Donald Trump. So it's potential that this would be used as a way of showing that what they are trying to do has worked. But I would also be very surprised if we don't have further conversations around how is this allowed to happen again within a matter of 9 weeks. So I would be very shocked if this isn't a topic for further conversation. I don't know if further heads will roll, though.
Christopher Featherstone talking to us live there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.